So week 10 is here, and this is 5 defenses you should start going into week 10. And the first one is the Philadelphia Eagles. They're coming off a bye week. I said in the waiver wire video to pick them up, and they were out there in 54% of fantasy leagues is the Eagles defense. And this week they got another great matchup versus the New York Giants and the turnover-prone Daniel Jones. So the Philadelphia Eagles, they've been playing well on D. They're getting key guys back, it seems like, each and every week. This is a division game. The Eagles, a few weeks ago, 9 points in fantasy in week 7 versus the Giants, and then 24 versus a bad Dallas team in week 8. And now they got the Giants again here. I could see Philly getting a couple turnovers, maybe taking another one to the house. This team's playing with confidence. Like I said, they're getting guys back, defense and offense, and they're going to get to the quarterback. The Giants' O-line ain't that good. Their pass protection ain't that good. And Philly, they're hungry now and healthy, so that's the first D I'm going to start. The second one's the Green Bay Packers, and they versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it might be a long day for the rookie Jake Luton in Lambeau Field this week versus a pretty solid Packer defense. The Packer D last week versus San Francisco, they gave you 8 fantasy points with a sack and it though and a fumble recovery. But this week, Jacksonville gives up the 6th most fantasy points to defenses. I think the Green Bay, they'll get a couple sacks. They could get a pick or two here. So they're going to be a good start, and they could give you a solid 10 to 12 fantasy points on D. The next team I'm going to start on defense is the Washington football team. I know they didn't have a great performance versus the Giants last week, but the football team have been pretty solid in fantasy most of the year. Now they got a Detroit Lion team who I don't know if they're going to have Stafford or not, but I'm going to point towards no. Stafford coming off COVID, then getting a concussion in the last game, taking a sandwich hit. So this Washington football team, they could get to the quarterback. They got some guys in there that could get sacks. They got decent coverage. Last week, like I said, 5 sacks. So they'll get to the quarterback. Chase Daniel, he don't scare me, and he's not mobile either if he's the starter. Even if Stafford's starting, he's good for a couple turnovers himself, I think. So go out there and start Washington. The next team's the New Orleans Saints, and this is a team I said go pick up on the waiver wire. So we'll see if you did. But anyway, this team, I'm going to look to start them. Their defense is starting to get things together. They shut down Tom Brady and that high-powered Tampa Bay offense. They had 3 points allowed, only 3 sacks and 3 intos. So a great fantasy defensive performance. And now they got a banged-up San Francisco 49er team coming into New Orleans. And I think their defense, they're going to eat in that one. Nick Mullins, he's not that good of a quarterback. Drew Brees and the Saints, I know they've been giving up points a lot this year, but their defense, they could get to the quarterback. And now this team, after another big win, their confidence is sky high. So go out there and play their defense. And the 5th and final defense I'm going to look to start this week's the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, all of a sudden, after their bye week, they're starting to get things going on defense and offense, obviously, led by Dalvin Cook. But now their defense, the last 2 weeks, has been solid for the most part, holding Green Bay only to 22 points, and then Detroit last week to 20, and they had a couple sacks and 3 interceptions. So this week they got a great matchup for a defense versus a lousy Chicago Bear team on Monday Night Football in Chicago. It's a big division game. They're back in the hunt, the Littles, Minnesota now, 3-5 coming off 2 division wins. So now they're looking to get the sweep in the division. It's possible. But anyway, the Bears' offense is horrible. We saw last week Tennessee get to the quarterback and Nick Foles, and then Montgomery fumbling, and Desmond King, the new acquisition, taking one to the house. So I think Minnesota, they could give you a solid fantasy game this week. So that's 5 defenses I'm looking to play heading into week 10.